Homes with an EPC rating of E or below are now sitting on the market for longer, selling for an average of 7.1% less than comparable properties, and in some parts of London, buyers are walking away entirely. That number comes from research by EXP UK, published in early 2026. And that 7.1% gap on a typical London property translates to over £26,000 knocked off the asking price before you've even started negotiating. Right now, thousands of older terraced houses across London are sitting in a strange, uncomfortable middle ground. They're not falling apart, many of them look perfectly fine, but because of their energy rating, buyers are backing off, lenders are getting tougher, and landlords who own them are running for the exit. This is one of the most underreported stories in the London property market right now. Let's break down exactly what's happening and why it matters whether you own one of these homes, rent one, or you're thinking of buying one. So, let's start at the beginning, because a lot of people are hearing the letters EPC more and more, but aren't totally sure what it means. An EPC, Energy Performance Certificate, is a rating that tells you how energy efficient a property is. It goes from A at the top all the way down to G at the bottom. A is the best, G is basically a heat sieve. In England, most older terraced houses, the kind you see stretching across Hackney, Lewisham, Ealing, Haringey, pretty much everywhere, sit somewhere between D and E. That's below average. And according to analysis of over 1.3 million domestic EPCs for privately rented London properties published by Easy EPC, 55.2% of those properties are currently below a C rating. More than half in London alone. Now, for most of the past decade, this didn't matter that much. As long as a property was rated E or above, it was legal to rent out. But in January 2026, the government changed the game. Under the Warm Homes Plan announced in January 2026, the minimum energy rating for rental properties in England and Wales will rise from E to C, and that new standard kicks in from October 2030. Landlords who don't comply face fines of up to £30,000 per property. So overnight, a property sitting at a D or E rating stopped being acceptable and became a problem that needs solving by 2030, or a liability that needs to be sold. Here's where it really starts to get complicated, because getting an older terraced house up to a C rating isn't always simple or cheap. If your home is a 1930s semi with cavity walls and a loft, you might get there for £1,000 to £2,000. Loft insulation, cavity wall fill, a few heating controls. Done. But if your property is a Victorian mid-terrace, solid brick walls, no cavity, built before 1920, you're in a completely different situation. According to EPC Advisor, solid wall insulation for a property like that costs anywhere from £8,000 to £22,000, and that's before you factor in the complications. Many of these homes are in conservation areas where external wall insulation isn't even allowed by planning rules. Others have structural issues that mean the insulation could cause damp if it's not done correctly. EPC Guide's data on London specifically puts this into perspective. An estimated 62% of London's private rented properties fall below EPC C, higher than the national average, because inner London is dominated by exactly these kinds of solid-wall Victorian and Edwardian properties. Labour costs in London also run 15 to 25% above the national average, which pushes upgrade costs higher still. The government's cost cap is £10,000 per property. That's the maximum landlords are expected to spend. If they spend it and still can't get to a C, they can apply for an exemption. But here's the catch. Data from Rightmove, cited by National Property Buyers in February 2026, suggests that over 1.7 million UK homes may never be able to move beyond a D rating, regardless of what you spend. These properties are structurally limited, and for many of them that's starting to look like a permanent anchor on their value. Now, here's where the story really takes a turn. According to Landlord Buyer, approximately 93,000 buy-to-let landlords exited the UK rental market in 2025. That's not a typo. 93,000 in a single year, up from 65,000 who had exited in the 2 years before that combined. And what were they selling? Mostly older properties, the kind that would be expensive to upgrade. Victorian terraces, pre-war flats, homes sitting at D or E on the EPC scale. Property Industry Eye surveys showed that 39% of landlords were considering leaving the market entirely within the next year. Letting agents reported that 70% of their landlord clients were either already selling or seriously thinking about it. Now, you might think, well, those properties are going back on the market, so buyers can snap them up at a discount. And that is partly true, but according to 20C data reported in April 2026, only 11% of former rental homes sold in London in 2025 were subsequently relisted as rentals. The rest are being absorbed into owner-occupier stock or sitting unsold. And in the English Private Landlord Survey published in December 2025, 31% of remaining landlords said they plan to reduce their portfolio, and 16% said they're considering selling everything within 2 years. The tone shifted fast. What used to be a steady, quiet rental market has turned into something messier, and the properties sitting at the centre of it are those older London terraces with low EPC ratings.
So if you're a buyer or thinking about becoming one, this actually matters a lot. Research by EXP UK found that properties rated E or below are priced, on average, 7.1% below similar homes with better ratings. On a £375,000 London property, that's a £26,745 discount built in before you even make an offer. In some cases, buyers are coming in and factoring the full £10,000 upgrade cost directly off the asking price. Some are going further, using the low EPC as a negotiating chip to push sellers even harder. According to a report from legal software provider Access Legal, Kensington and Chelsea and Westminster are among the worst affected London boroughs, described as having a highly fragile combination of large price expectation gaps and high volumes of Band D to G homes, triggering late-stage renegotiations. In plain English, deals in these areas are increasingly falling apart after offers are agreed because buyers or their solicitors flag the EPC liability. Meanwhile, lenders are tightening too. Several mortgage providers now offer green mortgages with preferential rates for properties at C or above. For properties below that threshold, some lenders are factoring in expected upgrade costs when calculating how much they'll lend. That means a buyer's purchasing power effectively shrinks when they're looking at a lower-rated home, which reduces competition for those properties and pushes prices down further. And this is compounding. Fewer qualified buyers, longer time on market, more price reductions, and sellers who waited too long now finding themselves in a market where their property is genuinely hard to move.
As of June 2026, this is the situation. The 2030 deadline is confirmed. EPC C is the new legal minimum for rental properties in England and Wales. The cost cap per property is £10,000. Fines for non-compliance are up to £30,000. Legislation is still being finalised, but the policy direction is locked in. At the current rate that landlords are making energy upgrades, research by Hamptons found it would take until 2042, not 2030, for all rental homes to meet the new standard. To hit 2030, around 340,000 rental homes a year need to be improved. That's not happening yet. A survey by Just Landlords found that 3.38 million rental properties in England and Wales don't currently meet the October 2030 requirement. That's 3.38 million properties either needing significant work or heading toward the sales market. Meanwhile, the EPC assessment system itself is being overhauled. The new home energy model, which replaces the current scoring methodology, is expected to arrive in 2027. Under the new system, homes will need to meet thresholds on fabric performance, heating efficiency, and smart readiness. Industry analysts warn it may be harder, not easier, to hit a C rating under the new methodology. For homeowners, landlords, buyers and renters, this situation is still developing, but the direction is clear. Older London terraces with low energy ratings are carrying a cost that didn't exist 5 years ago, and the market is starting to price that in.
The numbers don't lie. 93,000 landlords sold up last year. 3.38 million properties below the new minimum standard, a 7.1% price discount already baked into homes rated E or below, and a 2030 deadline that's getting closer every month. Whether you're sitting on one of these properties, renting one, or trying to buy in London right now, the EPC on that front door is no longer just a certificate, it's becoming part of the price. Everyone's watching what happens next.